Welcome to the debate. Um, Imagine standing in a Japanese zoo with like 1,000 other people on a Saturday night,
Right.
and half the crowd is standing in the dark, perfectly still, waiting for fireflies to light up the trees, while the other half is, frantically scrolling their phones and scouring a monkey enclosure, competing in this digital scavenger hunt to find an animal named Punch.
Yeah, it's quite a scene.
It is. So which group is actually connecting with nature?
Well, it is a massive contrast, and it perfectly captures what happened at the Ichikawa City Zoological and Botanical Garden on July 25th, 2026. You had these two completely different ways of experiencing the natural world happening at the exact same institution on the exact same day.
Exactly. And it raises a critical question for modern zoos and botanical gardens. Should they lean into these gamified, personality-driven digital campaigns, which, I will argue is how you actually survive today? Or should they prioritize unmediated, natural events like the firefly viewing?
And I'm firmly in the camp of the fireflies. The fundamental mission of these institutions is to facilitate an authentic connection to nature. When you replace that with trending hashtags and, well, anthropomorphic social media campaigns, you lose the profound educational value that only unmediated observation can provide.
I get that, but look at what they actually did with this hashtag Find Punch campaign. The zoo specifically warned visitors that finding this monkey on the eve of his first birthday was, quote, on the higher difficulty side. Then the person inside, the zoo's account manager, coordinated this whole digital celebration for the next day, pushing tags like hashtag Happy Birthday Punch and hashtag Go For It Punch. It's brilliant because it builds a parasocial relationship.
Wait, a parasocial relationship meaning like visitors feeling a one-sided personal friendship with a monkey they just met?
Right, exactly. You give them a narrative to invest in. In today's attention economy, humanizing an animal taps directly into our empathy and protective instincts. That is how you turn a casual weekend visitor out of those baseline 1,000 attendees into a lifelong supporter of your conservation efforts.
I hear you, but you're missing the reality of what we sacrifice for those social media metrics. When we push hashtags like hashtag You're Doing Great Punch for a first birthday, we are essentially turning the zoological garden into a content farm.
A content farm? That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, think about the psychology of the scheduled hashtag firefly-viewing event instead. It requires patience, right? It requires visitors to adapt to nature's schedule, not the other way around.
Sure.
That cognitive quiet is neurologically restorative. It teaches respect for wildlife as independent organisms, rather than, training people to expect animals to perform as characters in a digital soap opera.
But aren't we romanticizing how people actually behave in these spaces? Staring to the dark is great. But let's talk about the mechanics of the game. Think about what a field biologist actually does.
They observe.
Right, but they don't just passively stroll through a forest. They scan for visual cues. They track movement. When the zoo makes finding Punch a high difficulty challenge, they are essentially tricking visitors into doing a biological field survey.
Oh, that's an interesting way to frame it.
Yeah, because the dopamine loop of a digital scavenger hunt actually mimics natural foraging behavior. It forces those 1,000 visitors to actively observe their environment in a sustained way.
Tricking them into observation isn't the same as teaching ecological literacy, though. The firefly viewing speaks for itself. Nature doesn't need a trending hashtag or like a dopamine hit to be deeply impactful. If the gateway to conservation teaches people that animals are basically humans in fursuits having birthdays and needing encouragement, the underlying message we're sending is fundamentally compromised. Well, the fireflies demand that we adapt to nature. The hashtag Find Punch game demands that the animal adapt to our need for constant, gamified stimulation.
Well, I wouldn't call it cheapening the experience. I'd call it collective action. The intentionality of the account manager asking the public to use specific tags the next day isn't just about farming content. It's about building a community.
Right, but at what cost?
Those 1,000 visitors who attended the park that Saturday are now digitally connected. If we want people to care about conservation, we have to meet them where they are. And right now, they are on their phones.
It's definitely a tightrope walk. Balancing the need to drive attendance through personality-driven gamification against preserving the profound authenticity of a natural event
is incredibly difficult.
It really is. And looking at the numbers from that Saturday, it's highly likely both strategies played a synergistic role in getting those 1,000 people through the gates in the first place.
Which forces us to ask what we really want from our institutions of nature moving forward.
Exactly. The evolution of how we engage with wildlife is a complex, ongoing discussion. Because whether you're waiting in the quiet dark for a firefly or scanning a primate enclosure through a smartphone camera for a birthday hashtag, the fundamental question remains, what are we really hoping to see?